Hi, my name is Danielle Weisberg. I'm co-founder and co-CEO at theSkimm, and I am graduated Latin class of 2004. Go Romans!
So give a quick overview of theSkimm, what it is, and why you started it.
theSkimm is a company that makes it easier to be smarter. Before I started theSkimm, I was a producer at NBC News. I worked in DC doing off-air reporting on the Hill and at the White House, and then I moved to New York and I was working at MSNBC for some of their primetime shows. And I love news. I've always loved news. I've always loved storytelling. It's really what I wanted to do with my life. At the same time, I saw my friends who were really smart, educated on the go, very much emblematic of the female millennial demographic that's influencing hundreds of billions of dollars spending each year. And they would ask me what was going on each day. And they're smart, they knew everything about their industry, but half of them didn't own TVs, or they didn't have cable subscriptions, or they found it overwhelming to try and follow breaking news on Twitter, or they didn't have enough time to go check out a website or open a paper and read to page A10 to get the whole background of the story. So there was just this disconnect between how traditional news media was going after this audience that was so valuable that they needed to build loyalty in, and what I saw every day from my friends wanting to know more about the world but not having something that actually fit into their routines. So I quit my job close to 5 years ago to start a company really based off of that. We have started something that has really two guiding principles. The first is that we believe people want information from a voice that they can trust. And the second is, as a company, theSkimm is really obsessed with the routines of this target demographic. So we build products that use technology to make it easier to be smarter within what you're already doing. If you have 5 minutes in your day, we want to make sure that we build a product that can help you learn more about the world in that time.
Good. How did you meet your partner and decide to launch theSkimm?
So I met my business partner, Carly Zakin, when we were in college. Carly went to Penn, I went to Tufts, and we met on a study abroad trip in Rome, Italy. There's lots of competition in the startup world, and I'm proud to say that I think we have the best startup story of meeting when we were 19 years old over fried artichokes in Rome. We had a ton of fun on that trip, but never talked about what we wanted to do. So we didn't actually come up with the idea for theSkimm until years and years later. But we had both grown up news geeks. We had both actually worked for NBC News and reconnected during that time, and we ended up being roommates in New York in a very small apartment. And had the same feeling of wanting to do more, of loving the industry that we were in, but just seeing a disconnect from its inability to actually reach our friends.
Were there lean times when you were starting? What has growth been like?
Were there lean times when we were starting theSkimm? It's kind of a funny question because I think that is the definition of our company. I think startups need to be scrappy and need to be agile. And when we started theSkimm, we had no money. We had about $4,000 saved between the two of us. We quit our jobs in media, so we weren't making much. Our parents, gave us hugs and, offered to cook us dinner, and were really emotionally supportive. I think that they thought that we were kind of crazy, and we were 25 and 26 on the time, and very on our own financially, and that's the decision that we made. So I think that there's kind of this, in the startup world, there was a trend to, bootstrapping your company and not wanting to take in venture funding too soon. For us, we didn't have that luxury. We had to bootstrap because we had no money and we had never started a business before. We didn't have any of those connections. So the first year and a half, we were the whole company. Carly and I would write the newsletter at night, through the night, get up at around 5 a.m. to make sure that it went out and there were no breaking news, and then we would sleep for a few hours, and then we would spend the day networking and trying to really get the business side up and running. So those first few months were a total blur. We did everything, and then we got to the point where we had so much organic traction. We had about 100,000 subscribers completely organically, that it made sense to go out there and try to raise money, and that's when we brought on a team. But I think that we are the definition of a scrappy startup because of how we started, and I think that's so firmly rooted in the DNA of the company that now, 5 years later, Series B funded, I'm so proud that we still have that get up and go attitude. And that's something that we look for in everyone that we bring on.
Is there a part of your Latin experience that is relevant from Latin in your career or work life?
I think one thing that I really learned from Latin is work ethic. I think that Latin is a tough school. It definitely has that reputation. In high school, I can remember a lot of all-nighters. In some ways, I think it was easier. College was actually easier than parts of my experience at Latin. I think that having that work ethic and pushing yourself to reach higher and to excel in ways that you didn't think were going to be possible is something that I definitely took from Latin. And I think that having the confidence to go into a situation and think at first, be hesitant, think that it's too much. I feel like Latin gave me a lot of the critical thinking skills that I use today as a co-CEO to navigate really tough situations, and also to push my team to know that we collectively can work through things and challenges. And I think I credit a lot of that to Latin and the teachers and the rigor and the high expectations that they have for their students.
You're having huge success in a competitive field. How do you stand out?
theSkimm has differentiated itself in a field of startups moving so quickly by a few different things. I think one is, when we started, there was such a trend towards personalization. There are a ton of algorithms that give you the news. There are a ton of companies out there that give you information about just what you're interested in. And I think that there's a place and time for those companies, but that's never who we are. We have really stayed true to being a brand that is for a particular audience. We focus on female millennials. That makes up about half of our audience. We know who we are for, and we know what our value proposition is, and we're totally fine not being for everyone. We have a product that, with the email newsletter, makes it easier to be smarter, going into your day feeling informed, feeling like you can tackle conversations, even if it's not something you're interested in. I think hearing about Syria is not always the most uplifting way to start your day. But you need to know about it, just like you need to know what's going on with interest rates. And that might not be something that you're interested in, but it's going to make you feel more confident tackling your day, going into conversations, and learning more about the world. And that's something that I think we do really well as a company, is knowing who we are, knowing what we stand for, and knowing that we have a loyal audience that really appreciates that.
You've been on a number of talk shows and interviews. Any favorite moments?
theSkimm has been really lucky to get the amount of press that it's had. And I think that our favorite moment in the past 5 years, personally, was when First Lady Michelle Obama posted about us. That was huge. I think also when Oprah endorsed us, I mean, you can't get bigger than that. I interned for her actually when I was in high school, and that's like a total pinch me moment that we could never recreate and had no clue was coming. And I think to see that kind of traction from two women who have been, huge forces in media and society, I mean, it's amazing.
Strangest moment so far?
The strangest moment that I've had so far with my company is every single morning when the elevator doors open and they open into an office filled with now 45 people that all work at theSkimm. I think going from a couch, you can see our whole office is filled with couches. We still like to work from a couch because it's how we started the company. But going from that couch in a small apartment to 5,000 square feet, all branded with theSkimm, and to have people quit their jobs, leave their career path to come join us on a mission to make sure that everyone gets out of their bubble and everyone has a conversation with someone that they disagree with. I think that is, it's a surreal thing, and it's something that I'm so thankful for and proud of. But I think every day when I step off the elevators, I kind of think about, my God, like what has this company become? And there's so much more we can do.
Okay, so what's something your Latin friends and teachers would be surprised to know about you or your life?
Something that I think my Latin friends and teachers would be really surprised to know about me is that I use Excel and help run the budget for a company, and that I've raised more than $16 million in venture funding. All of that because I'm not very good at math, and I certainly struggled with math at Latin and still hate it, disdain it, and it's finally become something that I've put to good use, those skills. Or have had to put to use, but it's still not my favorite thing, and I think it's shocking how much it's become a part of my day-to-day life.